Did you know YouTube is hiding a treasure trove of classic Western movies that won't cost you a single penny? That is right. Some of the most iconic gunslingers, cattle drives, and frontier adventures are just a click away, completely free. In this video, I will take you through 10 incredible Western classics that showcase the golden age of the genre. So grab your popcorn and get ready to ride into the sunset with these legendary films that helped define American cinema. The Big Trees, 1952. The Big Trees, 1952, stars the legendary Kirk Douglas as Jim Fallon, a greedy lumberman who arrives in California's redwood forest with plans to harvest the massive trees for profit. When he discovers that a Quaker colony has established homesteads on the land he wants to claim, he initially tries to force them out. However, as he gets to know the community and their leader, Alicia Chadwick, Eve Miller, Jim begins to question his ruthless approach. The film beautifully showcases the majestic redwood forests, while delivering a compelling story about conservation versus commercial interests. Though not as well known as some of Douglas's other westerns, The Big Tree stands out for its stunning Technicolor photography and its ahead-of-its-time environmental message. The film was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Writing for its thoughtful screenplay that balances action with meaningful themes. Douglas's charismatic performance anchors the film, and his character's transformation from ruthless businessman to conservationist makes for a satisfying arc. If you appreciate westerns with substance beyond just gunfights and horse chases, this one is definitely worth your time. Vengeance Valley, 1951. Vengeance Valley, 1951, presents a gripping tale of family rivalry set against the backdrop of the American West. Burt Lancaster stars as Owen Daybright, a loyal ranch hand who has been raised like a son by ranch owner Arch Stroby. The conflict arises when Arch's biological son, Lee, Robert Walker, grows resentful of Owen's favored status and begins a campaign of deceit and betrayal. When Lee fathers a child with a local girl and tries to pin the responsibility on Owen, the two men's simmering tensions explode into open warfare. The film's strength lies in its complex character dynamics and Lancaster's powerful performance as the principled Owen, who must confront the man he considers his brother. Based on the novel by Luke Short, Vengeance Valley was directed by Richard Thorpe, who brings a gritty realism to the proceedings. While perhaps not as critically acclaimed as some other westerns of its era, the film has gained appreciation over time for its psychological depth and for subverting typical genre conventions. The film's exploration of jealousy, loyalty, and family bonds gives it a timeless quality that Western enthusiasts will appreciate. The Whirlwind, 1933. Step back into the early days of sound cinema with The Whirlwind, 1933. A pre-code Western that showcases the raw energy of the genre's formative years. Tim McCoy stars as Tim Lacey, a Texas Ranger who goes undercover to infiltrate a gang of cattle rustlers led by the notorious Butch Morgan. When Tim falls for Morgan's sister, Mary, Alice Dahl, his loyalties become complicated as he must choose between duty and love. The film moves at a brisk pace with plenty of action sequences that were innovative for their time, including thrilling horse chases and gunfights. What makes The Whirlwind particularly interesting is its glimpse into the transition from silent films to talkies, with some scenes still carrying the visual storytelling emphasis of the silent era, while others embrace the new possibilities of dialogue. Tim McCoy, a real-life rancher before turning to acting, brings authenticity to his role that few actors of the period could match. Though modest in production values compared to later westerns, the film's earnest storytelling and McCoy's magnetic screen presence make it a fascinating artifact of early sound cinema. For those interested in the evolution of the Western genre, this film offers a valuable historical perspective. The Mexicali Kid, 1938. The Mexicali Kid, 1938, stars Jack Randall, real name Addison Randall, as Jack, a young cowboy who finds himself wrongly accused of murder while working at a ranch near the Mexican border. When the real killer frames him for the crime, Jack must flee to Mexico to prove his innocence. Along the way, he encounters a young woman in distress and becomes embroiled in a plot involving stolen cattle and border bandits. The film is a solid example of the B-Western genre that was popular in the 1930s, delivering exactly what fans of the format expected: plenty of action, clear-cut heroes and villains, and a satisfying resolution where justice prevails. While not as critically acclaimed as A-list westerns of the era, The Mexicali Kid has earned its place in Western history as part of the prolific output from Monogram Pictures, one of the studios that specialized in these lower-budget but highly entertaining films. Randall's performance embodies the straightforward, honorable cowboy archetype that audiences loved, and his horsemanship skills are prominently displayed throughout the film. For fans who appreciate the simpler, more straightforward westerns of the 1930s, this film delivers exactly what you were looking for. The Law Rides, 1936. The Law Rides, 1936, features the iconic Tom Tyler as United States Marshal Tom O'Malley, who is tasked with bringing law and order to a town terrorized by a gang of outlaws. When Tom discovers that the town's seemingly respectable banker is actually the mastermind behind the criminal activities, he must use all his wits and courage to expose the truth and bring the villains to justice. The film stands out for its well-executed action sequences and Tyler's commanding presence as the determined lawman. What makes this particular Western noteworthy is its exploration of corruption, hiding behind a facade of respectability, a theme that resonated strongly with Depression-era audiences. Though modest in budget, the film makes excellent use of its resources, with carefully staged shootouts and chases that maximize excitement while minimizing expense. The Law Rides was produced by Reliable Pictures, one of the smaller studios that specialized in westerns during the 1930s, and represents the quality craftsmanship that these Poverty Row productions could achieve. While not as well remembered as the work of John Ford or other Western luminaries, the film deserves recognition for its efficient storytelling and for contributing to the mythos of the lone lawman bringing justice to the frontier. Shotgun, 1955. Shotgun, 1955 is a gritty Western that stars Sterling Hayden as Clay Harden, a ranch hand who returns to his hometown after 3 years away to find that the woman he loves, Nancy, Yvonne DiCarlo, is now married to the town's sheriff. To complicate matters, Clay discovers that the sheriff is actually part of a gang of cattle rustlers who have been terrorizing the region. When Clay tries to expose the corruption, he finds himself hunted by both the law and the outlaws. The film's title refers to Clay's weapon of choice, a shotgun, that becomes symbolic of his no-nonsense approach to justice. Directed by Leslie Salander, a veteran of the Western genre, Shotgun benefits from its darker, more cynical tone that reflects the changing sensibilities of mid-1950s Westerns. Hayden brings his trademark intensity to the role, creating a protagonist who is both morally upright and emotionally conflicted. The film was well received upon release for its tight pacing and effective blend of action and drama. While perhaps not as widely recognized as other Westerns of its era, Shotgun has developed a cult following among genre enthusiasts who appreciate its straightforward storytelling and Hayden's powerful performance. Yuma, 1971. Yuma, 1971, represents the evolution of the Western genre into the more complex and morally ambiguous territory of the early 1970s. Clint Walker stars as Dave Harmon, a former lawman who takes on the job of sheriff in Yuma, Arizona, only to find himself caught between corrupt town officials and a powerful rancher with a private army. As Harmon tries to clean up the lawless town, he faces resistance from all sides and must decide how far he is willing to go to bring justice to a community that may not want it. The film stands out for its realistic portrayal of the challenges faced by lawmen in the Old West, avoiding the simplistic heroics of earlier Westerns in favor of a more nuanced approach. Directed by Ted Post, who also directed several episodes of the classic television Western Rawhide, Yuma benefits from its solid production values and strong supporting cast, including Barry Sullivan, Edgar Buchanan, and Katherine Hayes. While not as critically acclaimed as some of the revisionist westerns of its era, Yuma has gained appreciation over time for its thoughtful exploration of law enforcement challenges and for Walker's understated but effective performance. The film's themes of institutional corruption and the personal cost of upholding justice give it a relevance that extends beyond its western setting. Cattle Queen of Montana, 1954. Cattle Queen of Montana, 1954, features Barbara Stanwyck in one of her most memorable Western roles as Sierra Nevada Jones, a strong-willed woman determined to establish a cattle empire in Montana Territory after her father is killed by Blackfoot warriors. When she discovers that a ruthless cattle baron is inciting conflicts with the Native Americans to drive out smaller ranchers, Sierra must team up with a government agent, Ronald Reagan, to expose the conspiracy and protect her herd. The film stands out for its feminist themes, with Stanwyck's character defying gender expectations of both the Old West and 1950s Hollywood by taking charge of her own destiny and refusing to be intimidated by the men who underestimate her. Shot in the stunning landscapes of Glacier National Park, the film boasts breathtaking Technicolor cinematography that showcases the majesty of the Montana wilderness. While not as critically acclaimed as some of Stanwyck's other films, Cattle Queen of Montana has earned its place in Western history for its progressive portrayal of a female protagonist who is every bit as capable as her male counterparts. The on-screen chemistry between Stanwyck and Reagan, who would later become the 40th President of the United States, adds another layer of interest to this entertaining Western adventure. Cry Blood Apache, 1967. Cry Blood Apache is a gritty western that explores the violent conflicts between Native Americans and white settlers from a unique perspective. The film follows a group of Apache warriors who, after their village is destroyed and their people massacred by white settlers, embark on a campaign of vengeance against those responsible. Led by the fierce warrior Vittorio Jody McCrea, the Apache warriors track down the men who committed the atrocities, leading to a series of brutal confrontations that highlight the brutality of frontier life. What sets this film apart from many westerns of its era is its willingness to present the Native American perspective with empathy and complexity, avoiding the simplistic stereotypes that plagued many earlier films in the genre. The film's raw, uncompromising approach to violence reflects the changing sensibilities of late 1960s and early 1970s cinema, with its influence from the spaghetti western tradition. Though not as widely known as other revisionist westerns of its era, Cry Blood Apache has developed a cult following among genre enthusiasts who appreciate its unflinching portrayal of the violence and injustices of the American frontier. Gentleman Killer, 1967. Gentleman Killer, 1967, is a fascinating spaghetti western that blends elements of the traditional American western with the stylistic innovations that European filmmakers brought to the genre. Anthony Stephan stars as Lord, a sophisticated and well-dressed gunslinger who arrives in a border town with a mysterious agenda. When Lord discovers that a wealthy landowner is using his power to exploit local farmers, he decides to intervene, using his sharpshooting skills and clever tactics to level the playing field. The film stands out for its stylish visual presentation, with striking compositions and inventive camera work that elevate it above many of its contemporaries in the spaghetti western boom. What makes Gentleman Killer particularly interesting is its subversion of the typical western hero archetype. Lord is neither the rough-and-tumble cowboy nor the noble lawman, but something in between. A sophisticated killer with his own moral code. Directed by Giorgio Stigani under the pseudonym George Harrison, the film benefits from Ennio Morricone-inspired musical score that enhances its atmospheric tension. While not as well known as the works of Sergio Leone or other spaghetti western luminaries, Gentleman Killer has gained appreciation among genre aficionados for its unique protagonist and stylish execution. There you have it, folks. 10 incredible Western classics you can watch right now on YouTube without spending a single cent. From the early days of sound cinema to the spaghetti Western revolution, these films showcase the evolution and enduring appeal of the Western genre. Each one offers a unique window into America's frontier mythology, complete with rugged landscapes, memorable characters, and timeless themes of justice, honor, and adventure. I hope you will take the time to saddle up and ride along with these cinematic pioneers who helped shape one of America's most beloved genres. If you enjoyed this roundup of free Western classics, be sure to subscribe to our channel for more hidden gems from YouTube's vast library. Which of these Westerns are you most excited to watch? Let us know in the comments below, and feel free to share any other free Westerns you have discovered on YouTube. Thanks for watching, and happy trails!